going to introduce our guests. They've eaten, they've had a bit to drink, but they say they're going to keep it clean because there's cameras. The first name I'm going to call, the order that I'm using, it's without disrespect. But also, in football, I think we fail sometimes to recognize our legends and give them their place. He's here for the second time in Cape Town. He's here for the second time at Diski Nites. 1996, we were all young. Maybe Tam Toms and Mr. Tutu. Maybe Tam Toms and Mr. Tutu were not exactly young. But we were all young. We all had ambitions. And we saw the Africa Cup of Nations for the first time in our country. We saw our team participating for the first time at the AFCON. I don't know if you guys are understanding what I'm saying. I said we saw a South African team at the AFCON for the first time. We saw the AFCON in our country for the first time. And our own team won the only time. And that's why in this order, we have to start with the football royalty. He has done it all. He has been overseas before the other kids went. Mr. Eric Tinkler, Cape Town City. The next guy, the coach of that team that Mr. Eric Tinkler played for and won that trophy, was a South African. He used to run around like this when he's celebrating. They called him the witch doctor. That was Clive Barker. The man I'm going to introduce to you guys is his nephew. Sat there, oh, my uncle, watched his uncle do whatever he's done and thought, wow, okay, I'm going to create my own lane. That nephew, Clive Barker, is none other than Mr. Steve Barker. So we've got a piece of history here. A person you can directly ask, hey man, why stay at Cape Town City so long? He can give you the reasons. And he can also answer, why so few Bafana Bafana Cavs? Thami Mkhize, without further ado. Next to your coach. And then now, last but definitely not least, this is one of the players that epitomizes what Stellenbosch is all about, size, Mogamad the Goede. Maybe it's the German. Next to your coach. So yeah, welcome to Diski Nites. It's a football show for everybody to see. We make a difference. So the rivalry started 3 years ago. 1-0, 1-0. So it was all square. And then 2-1, 2-1. Then it was all square. And then last year, 3-0. So Stellenbosch are 3 goals ahead and 1 win ahead now, as things stand. We practically have a decider on Saturday between these 2 clubs. And we're still sitting here without a name for your rivalry. First of all, let's start with the guys who've been there before with rivalries. Have you welcomed Stellenbosch and realized they're actually a rival to you, or is it still early days?
No, we've welcomed them quite a way back. We play each other quite often, obviously in a lot of friendlies. So the rivalry's been there for quite a while. The way I like to see it is, brothers. We're not twins, because twins is very different, but we are brothers. And as brothers, there's a hate and love relationship. And that's the type of relationship we have. We love each other, but on match day we hate each other. And it's, be it a league match, be it a cup match, be it a friendly, that's the way it is, and that's the way we like it. He's competitive, I'm competitive, we want to win. But like you said, that was last year. That was a different team last year to the team that has shown up this year. So hopefully we can turn that result around.
The coach is talking about a team, and it really was a different team. He made some signings. He made some signings that shocked everybody because key players left, Thami. And these are players, I'm sure people said, irreplaceable because they were key to the team. And now you bring in new players to come straight in and replace those key players. How have they performed, and do they realize what's going to happen on Saturday?
No, as the coach has mentioned, I think he must also, him and his technical team, take credit for that because they are the one who spotted players who have to come in and fill in for those players who left. So far they have done well for the club and they've adjusted and they are improving as players.
Okay, so the guys who've been there, done it before, are saying, yeah, okay, it's cool. We have another rival, and it's a brother. There's a love-hate relationship. We're happy to have them along. When you came to the Premiership, coach, did you feel, you have to prove yourselves against Cape Town City, or was it a case of let's first represent ourselves? Because Cape Town City had done it. They had the trophies, both trophies. They've had many good players that have gone to Bafana, have done amazing things. Now you guys come in, you have to create something different to offer to the fans.
Yes, I think most certainly, as Eric says, if it's a brother relationship, they are the big brother. But the little brother grows up sometimes quick and can challenge the big brother. So a secret to our winning the NFD, I told my team that if we can finish above the then Ajax, we have a big chance of winning the league. I think I could say the same with Cape Town City, that if every season we can finish above them, then we will be having outstanding seasons because they're an outstanding team, having an outstanding season. 2022 has been really good for Cape Town City, and it's good for us to create that rivalry and that sort of derby feel because I think it's important. We're a club that staff and players, we get along, we know each other well. The staff have even played friendly matches against each other where they're actually leading in that side of things. So yeah, we want to have that rivalry and we want to create that derby feel, and as Eric says, there's no love lost on match day. We want to win the football match, they want to win a football match, and I think it's important that we create that atmosphere in Cape Town. We have the opportunity to really make it something special. In my opinion, we can make it as big as any other derby in the country.
Yo. I don't want to say shots fired yet. As a more local guy, there's probably a lot of people watching you and saying, I can be like Mogamad, I can get there. Have you realized that since you've been in the Premiership and also playing against Cape Town City and whoever you're playing against? Have you realized that's what's happening, or is it still about just making it at the moment for you?
No, I think obviously when we won the NFD, so now obviously it kicks in that we're actually in the PSL, and then obviously your first year you try to stay in the league, and yes, we did it. But now I think we're not any more than you guys on the block. I think we're in this league to stay here, and we're here to fight and obviously win trophies like City did. So obviously we want to do the same and obviously be better as well and compete against the best in the country.
And are you literally saying the better team now at the moment is Cape Town City, or you're just saying the best in the country generally?
No, I think they've been longer than us in the PSL. They won trophies, but I don't think that they're better because at the moment we're 3-2 up. So at the moment we are the better team.
Aish. I didn't say it. I didn't say it, coach. Now, we've established where we're going. We're going to Saturday. You know, it's the end of the season, and your season has been half without fans and half with fans. Man, coach, how is that feeling? I mean, we're not on the pitch to experience these things. And I'm not saying say something good about it. I'm saying explain to us, because hey, we only watch on TV.
Yeah, I think obviously it's been a difficult 2 years, you know, with COVID, especially for professional sport such as football, that players rely heavily on fans coming into the stadium, creating an atmosphere, giving them that extra boost. Their confidence grows, their morale grows when they're playing in front of a crowd. And many people will say, oh, but you can play in front of a hostile crowd, but believe it or not, that still motivates you know, playing in front of a crowd. And it was a difficult 2 years, obviously, playing in empty stadiums, especially for the players, because all they can hear is my voice, and sometimes it's not a pleasant voice. So, you know, it puts them under a lot of pressure. So I think the players themselves, we've already seen how much just over the last 2-3 weeks of the games that we've been playing, how the players have responded in a positive way with the fans coming into the stadium. But what we would like to see is a lot more fans coming in. I think the 2 years has made South African supporters lazy. We've become comfortable with the braai and the beer at home in front of the television. And I think, as you stated before, when you were talking to everybody about the atmosphere that you get inside a stadium is very, very different to the atmosphere you're going to get at home. Seeing the game live is completely different, because it not only follows the ball, which you see on TV, but you get to see everybody. And I think especially for the younger players, those players who aspire to become professional footballers one day, it is important to go to the stadium and watch your idols play, because that's where you're going to learn the more about the game, the more about a specific position. On TV, you're not going to learn that. So I think bringing crowds back into the stadium is obviously a massive benefit for the players and for future stars. You know, they need to come into the stadiums, and it's obviously also our job as clubs to obviously try and incentivize that. And you know, it's only restarted now, like I said, over the past 3-4 weeks. But I know that for us as a club next season, it's going to be very, very important that we do activations. We go into Googs, we go into Khayelitsha, we go into Nyanga, and we bring the fans back into the stadium. And hopefully what we'll see is this derby grow into a big derby. Locally, we want to see more people becoming their province supporters, which means you're either supporting Stellies or you're supporting Cape Town City. We don't want to be having people from the Western Cape supporting Pirates and Chiefs. You know, we need to support local is lekker. I think that's important. We've got to give a little bit of Cape Malay flavor to the game. Yeah, looking forward to the game on the weekend.
Thami, the coach has sounded his intentions. I don't have to remind you of the incentive of playing Club Champions League. I don't have to remind you that you're second in the league table. I don't have to remind you that you need to get a result on Saturday. It's Wednesday. What's going through the players' minds right now?
For me personally, I would say, because the most important thing as a player is to always analyze yourself every day, especially on the week leading towards the game. You have to make sure that you prepare yourself mentally. And I also want to mention that ever since the fans have come back to the stadium, they brought in a little bit of excitement and also that motivation that whenever you're on that pitch, you always want to do your best and make sure that you give your team 100%. And also, I am looking forward to play in Stellenbosch in a derby where there will be supporters.
Looking forward to playing at the derbies in Stellenbosch, and it's going to be for the first time with fans. The Danny Craven Stadium is not, because of COVID, has not been properly launched, Coach. I still get that feeling because the local derby hasn't happened. The Chiefs have played there, you know, Swallows have played there, you know,
Yes.
a bunch of teams. But, you know, I think because of it has never been localized, so you guys have not faced each other in front of fans yet. So that clears, that ownership, right? And also that respect, I'm not sure, I mean, from where I'm sitting, that respect of it's your own home turf has not really happened yet.
No, you're correct in your assessment. I've always told our players that Donny Craven was a house. We never had the furniture in the house. It wasn't a home. Our supporters was the furniture that needed to come into the house to make it a home, to make it a warm place, to give it excitement, to give it a freshness. And now that the fans are back, it's going to become our home and no longer a house that we visit. So yes, most certainly, we're intending on a regular basis, especially against our rivals and derby match, is to bring out the numbers, you know, as many as we can, and to fill up that stadium. There's another thing that I was just thinking just now, is that I believe this derby can become really special, and it's all due respect to some of the other bigger clubs and their derbies, but I get a sense those derbies, the clubs are playing not to lose. They're afraid to lose because of the impact of maybe a Chiefs losing to a Pirates, vice versa. Where I believe in this rivalry, it should be a rivalry where we're not afraid to lose, but we want to win. So we've got to play to make this derby special. We have to be positive. We have to attack each other. We have to make sure that it's an exciting derby, that we're not playing to sort of just keep the scoreline low. I think that's something that we can create, because I get that impression that other derbies can become a bit dull because teams are scared to lose. We shouldn't be scared to lose. We've got to go out there and we've got to ask them questions, and I'm sure that they're going to ask us questions. So it needs to be a punch and a counter punch, and more punches and more sort of uppercuts. So yeah, we're looking forward to the derby and making Donny Craven a special place, a place that's difficult for opposition teams to come to, a place that we want to make our home, where we're comfortable, where we take the initiative, where we make sure that nobody comes to our home and takes what we own.
Yo, Coach. You've just given Mogamad a lot to think about there. Especially, I mean, Mogamad, you're guaranteed top 8 now, right? So they can sit back and start dreaming about the off-season already, Coach. I'm not saying they must, but they can. What motivation is there right now for you guys? I mean, as I said, you know, for a lot of fans it will be, you know, Stellenbosch, job done, top 8. You know what I mean? It's Stellenbosch. It's a team, you know, just arrived in the Premiership. You know, you can say a lot of things. I think top 8 is great for them, right? But now you're playing Saturday versus guys who need a result. You guys don't need it. You know, Thami said the focus is on Saturday. What's going on with you guys?
Yeah, like you said, that top 8 is secured, but obviously as the coach spoke to us and said, yeah, top 8 is secured, but deep down inside we want to finish as high as possible. We can end 4th, maybe 3rd if it's still up there, but if we can end 4th, it will be a good season for us as well. But it's not going to be easy, like you said. They need points. They need to win, because obviously their ambitions is now to end 2nd and secure that spot. But it's not going to be easy, because we also want to win, and it's a Cape Derby. One of the players said, Robin Johannes, we don't lose derbies. And we literally took that, like, we're not going to lose a Saturday, and we're going to try to go out there and make it difficult for them, and obviously for us as well, to end as high as possible in the league and make it a successful season for us, and obviously end our last game in front of our home fans. First derby for them, to give them what they want, and that's 3 points.
Yeah. Okay. We spoke about the sporting side of things. I would like the people to now get to know the humans that we're sitting here today with. You know, they're football players, it's football coaches, that are here today. You were a young kid in the KZN playing football, and now you're sitting as a captain of a club, right? There's a match that's been talked about in the media on Saturday. It's the last game of the Premiership season. You know, did these things ever cross your mind that they would happen in the way that they're happening right now? Did you have some boxes that you were ticking that you felt, you know, when I was a young kid, I wanted to achieve that, or are some of them a surprise to you?
I would say some are a surprise, but to be honest, so far so good. I've been in the right path because all the goal that I've achieved is the goal that I've set for myself. And I still feel that I'm still halfway there to achieve all the goal that I've set for myself while I'm still playing.
Hey, coach, while he's still playing, hey, he remembers that he's in his 30s, ne? While I'm still playing. It's a nudge to the coach to extend your contract. Is that it, Thami? It's just extended. We got the news here first. He just extended. That's Thami. He's seen it all at Cape Town City. He's staying in Cape Town City. And coach, you know, you were a player before. Like you were on the one side, and now you're on the coaching side of things. You know, from your playing days, you were earning, what, $300? You know, $300, you know, you had a full-time job at some stage, you know. Seeing the things, how they've worked out in South African football, can you say, you know, you're coaching Cape Town City, I think this is good enough?
No, like I said before, I'm a very ambitious person. I want to continue winning. I want to continue achieving. One day I would love to see myself coaching at a much higher level. But that's the aspiration all coaches have, you know. But in order to get there, those opportunities come sometimes once in a lifetime. And you know, as a South African coach and coaching in South Africa, in order to achieve those objectives, those goals, I think you obviously got to be on the biggest stage. And the biggest stage is obviously for us in Africa is competing in CAF competitions, playing in the Champions League, playing in the Confederations Cup, going on. I've been there now 3 times to 3 finals, but I was reading Richard Ofori's interview saying, yeah, nobody can remember Eric Tinkler because he came second. Imagine one of the players I coached, but in any case. But he's entirely correct in that statement. Nobody remembers who came second. Everybody remembers who came first. And that's what you want to be able to put on your CV. You want to be putting on your CV like Pitzel, that you've won the Champions League. And once you start adding those things onto your CV, then you start getting recognition in other countries. You might be recognized in South Africa, but how much are you recognized outside? And that becomes important if you have those aspirations of obviously wanting to go one day and coach my club that I'm a big fan of, Chelsea. My aspirations are very high. But you've got to dream big. I've always been like that as a person. I dream big, I aim big, I aim high, and I try and pass that message on to my players, you know. So I think that's important. I've never changed the way I am. You know, people have always had opportunities to criticize me, looking for ways to run me down, but that has always spurred me on. It's made me more hungry, with more of a desire to want to prove people wrong, you know. So that won't change. That will continue. You were mentioning now we have that opportunity to finish second. They have an opportunity to finish fourth. Both teams have everything to play for. They finish fourth, they get a home advantage for the MTN 8. That's their objective. That's pretty obvious, you know. So we know for a fact that it's going to be a tough mission. But as I said before, you've got to aim high, and then what becomes important is obviously the discipline and believing.
They laugh now, coach, but you played in England, and you played in Portugal and you speak fluent Portuguese, you know? Maybe for a lot of people who might not know, it feels like the high aspirations to coach Chelsea are too far and few between. But it was the same as a player, I'm sure.
Yeah. To be truthful, I went to Portugal on holiday after I matriculated. I went there with a friend of mine and I ended up going on a trial, and I started right at the bottom. I started in Portuguese 3rd division and I had to build my way up till I got into the Portuguese Premier League and then move into Europe. But like you said earlier, you know, those days I was actually earning more money in South Africa playing for Wits, and we were part-timers, amateurs. I was earning more money for Wits than what I was earning when I went to Portugal playing in the 3rd division, believe it or not. And it was only a 10-month contract that I had. They didn't pay you 12 months. So for 2 months I couldn't afford to live. I couldn't afford to fly back to South Africa. But I said to myself, you know, you've got to stick in there, you've got to hang in there, and those times are very different to what you see today, people earning £250,000 a week, you know. It's crazy how much footballers today are earning, especially in the English Premier League. You know, our days it wasn't anywhere near that, you know. We go back to the early days of Bafana Bafana, 92, 93. If I told you what we were earning, you would be shocked, you know.
Tell us, Coach, tell us.
We had to fight 98, no, 97 when we went to England. You know, we went on, I'll tell you this story, we went on strike. And I know Ivan actually mentioned it not so long ago, where he raised it that they were going to fly up under 23s. But we were still basically earning the same money that we were earning back in 96, which was very little. And I arrived, because I was playing in Italy at the time, and I arrived at the hotel where we were camping in Manchester. And I saw Mark Fish and Lucas and everybody on golf carts around the golf course. I'm thinking, why aren't we training? So I'm going to ask. No, we're on strike. We're not. Why? No, they must pay us. We come here, look what we've done, look what we've achieved. We're now 16th in the world. We're playing against England. They're inviting us here. They're obviously getting money. They need to pay more. Okay, how much more? No, a lot more. So Lucas, I said to Lucas, how much? No, we want 20,000 and 20,000. 20,000 appearance, 20,000. That's like going up 10 times what we were earning before. And I said, you mad. You're mad. You're going to go there, they're going to laugh at you. Yeah, they're going to laugh at you. Sticks Morewa was still president, and the Sticks used to come in wearing his shorts. And he was like, I can't pay you. Leaves. Clyde Barker didn't even want to talk to us. 3 days later, they came in, no argument, agreed. We started thinking, hey,
there's money there.
Maybe we should have asked for more.
I've heard a bunch of those stories way into the World Cup as well. Lots of strikes. I heard you even threatened before the final at AFCON. There was a meeting Lucas had, and Ivan said, no. We'll make sure you get paid. And they shook hands. There was no contract. And they brought the message back to you guys.
I don't mind giving you another example. 1995 World Cup rugby. Rugby players, what they earned in 1995 was literally, I don't want to lie to you, nearly 20 times what we earned winning the AFCON. So the financial divide between what we were earning as footballers versus what the rugby players was earning was massive divide in between the two.
It's a bigger market, bigger sport.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Prastiv,
Yeah.
you are a nephew to this giant in South African football. When you come in as a young coach, you're coaching your own way. You need to create your own name, you know? Who's Steve Barker, outside of being the nephew of Clive Barker, and coming in? What's the pressure there for you that you have to represent?
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw it as pressure. I saw it more as an inspiration, to have my uncle do as well as he was doing at the time. When I'd finished matric, I I was called up to do national service in 1986, but only the July intake back then, and then the first 6 months I went to train with Bushbucks, Durban Bushbucks, back in 86 with, you know, Professor Ngubani, and that really match-winning, the league-winning squad that they had. And just the way he coached these players, the way he showed love to them, the way he showed care to them, everything was just, you're the best baby, you're the best baby, well done my son, yes, pass, 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 yes. And he used to just make life really comfortable for the players and really encourage them. And that was my first experience of a professional coach. And I've always took that in my career, that firstly you've got to care for your players, firstly as humans. That's the most important, to allow them to be who they are, let them grow, let them develop as people. Because I think if you allow them to develop as people, become better citizens, fathers, brothers, whatever the players are, they become better footballers at the same time. And I think that's what Clive, I took from him. So I never saw it as any pressure. I just saw it as an inspiration. I've always said that if I could achieve, you know, half what Clive has achieved in his career, I'm on the right track. So yeah, hopefully one day it'll go down in folklore of you know, a family having won trophies for their country. So yeah, been an inspiration.
Oh man, I think you don't need too much inspiration there, Coach. And I think you're well on your way. And I'm saying that off the record. They're gonna say I chose sides here. Mogamad, you are fairly new. I mean, some of the stories that they're telling, you know, you were much younger at the time, you know. If Coach can tell you. Yeah. Weren't even born at some stage. Coach is talking about experiences in Portugal. You've seen Portugal very differently from his time. He played in England, Italy, you know, talking about 96 stories. You know, coming into this space for a much younger person like yourself, are these stories shared with you? And do you realize what it means then? Or do you come in saying you're starting from a clean slate, it doesn't matter what's been done before?
Nah, I don't even know my dad was a professional footballer. He played in I think it was called NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played for Cape Town Spurs back in the days, Hellenic as well.
Yeah.
So I've heard so much stories about footballers that time. So I grew up with people that coming to visit my dad, ex-professional players. I played for Cape Town Spurs, Hellenic. So for me, it wasn't something new, because as a young kid, so many people told me how my dad played and this about him and all that stuff. So for me, it wasn't something new. Like, so many people told me so much stories about back in the day, how they played, no shooting guards and all that stuff. It's hard, and so yeah, it's not something new. And obviously my dad was also, like you said, this bully guy, aggressive, hard. So I get it from him. So yeah, so back in the day, they called him Iron Man. So yeah, I took some of the stuff from him. So yeah, it's not something new. I grew up in a football family. Obviously my inspiration was to play professional football. Luckily I made it. I'm one of 5 brothers. I'm the youngest one. I made professional football. So obviously it's something that's in my blood. It's a passion. It's like, this is where I want to be, and I am here, and I'm gonna keep going and try to stay in the PSL as long as possible, and hopefully move somewhere higher, maybe in Europe. I don't know. So like Coach said, like, obviously you don't wanna just play in this league, you wanna move up. So my ambitions is obviously to go much higher, but yeah, it's part of my life.
The coach wants you to say is to take Stellenbosch much higher.
Do that first.
That's what the coach wants to hear. I don't know if you guys ready for questions. Books, I'm going to ask just one more line of questions, and then we can start getting the questions from the fans. Remember, it's not about me. I was just warming them up to make sure they relax. They've been scared, guys, because Sunday World, Daily Sun, always write these stories, you know. So they've been scared of what type of questions I'm going to ask them, you know. So I hope you guys are making notes, getting ready your questions, not what we talked about here. Oh, if you want to go deeper into what we talked about here, you know, you can let us know. Come Saturday, Thami, you know, what do you want the people of Cape Town to know? And what do you want the people in Stellenbosch to know as you come? I mean, I'm going to paint a picture for you. You're on Baden Power. You're off the N2. You're on Baden Power, facing Stellenbosch now, in the bus. What do you want the people following you in their cars to know? That's the people from Cape Town and the people you're going to. What do you want them to know about your team?
Oh, obviously, for me, I want to make sure by the end of the game we make them proud, and we also make ourselves as players proud to reward ourselves and make sure that we finish the season on a high note. Because ever since we started this year, the club has been improving more and more and more. So it's better for us if we finish the season on a high note. So I want all our fans, whoever's gonna come to the stadium, to support us, to make sure that whenever they go back home, they go back home proud.
And coach, you have to pick the last squad and then the last team, starting lineup. So first is the playing squad. So somebody's got to sit at the stands, right? And then you also have to pick the starting 11. Sheesh. When do the sleepless nights start for you?
Every night. No, obviously, we plan and prep every game differently. In terms of the preparation itself, it's all the same, but in terms of the strategy, tactically, you obviously study the opposition, you look at where their strengths and where their weaknesses lie, and how you're going to break them down, where you need to be wary. And then obviously you try and implement that plan during the week with your team. You obviously still reflect on your last game. What did you do well? What did you do poorly? You may have suspensions like us. So we have Tara, which they know. Phillies is suspended. Now you have to make a change in terms of your defense, which is never an easy thing to do, especially the back four. So it's about tweaking that, working that, and then prepping the guys mentally, physically, to make sure that obviously on match day they're 100% ready to take on the challenge. We're pretty fortunate because of COVID. Obviously, you know, the rules have changed pretty much, because gone are the days of doing 3 substitutions only. I know he tried to do 6. In fact, he done 6 against us. Maybe that's why they wanted him out. But today you allowed 5, you know, which obviously gives more opportunity to the guys that are on the bench. And now we travel with 20. Before we used to travel with 18. So in terms of managing the squad, it becomes more manageable, put it that way. So, but yeah, always important for me. I don't go with my head, I always go with my gut. That's something that I go back to my first season here, 2016, where my chairman, we always have a meeting, normally on a Thursday, where I discuss what my planning is for the game. I then divulge to him who's my starting lineup. And whenever I have doubts, he always used to say to me, Coach, don't go with your head, go with your gut. Believe in your gut. You know, and I've always had that as a coach. I've always gone with my gut feeling, and not always works, but it seems to work better.
So far, so good. So far, so good. From your side, coach, you know, I can't explain, or I'm not a Stellenbosch person. I'm not based in Stellenbosch. I'm not from the community. But the kids have delivered a trophy, right? They're probably going to have a run around the stadium to show off the trophy on Saturday. I'm giving you ideas here, Courtney. I'm giving you ideas. I've sat in your seat before, so hey, you know, I'm sure they're going to take the trophy around, show the people the new trophy. whether it's before the game or halftime. And now it's going to be your turn. And it's the last game, coach. If they're going to wait 2 months after this, 2 months, no football. It's the last game. And these guys are coming to town, coming to do the business because they need it. You know, they're coming to your house. You know, what vibe are you setting for that with the people of Stellenbosch?
No, I think it's massively exciting for us as a football club. I firstly want to congratulate Eric as we speak. Regardless of the result on the weekend, he's done a fantastic job to get the team in the position that they are. So well done on you, Thami, as well, to captain the team. A lot of people don't realize that it's not easy for Cape teams as opposed to being a team in Gauteng. The amount of travel that we have to do as clubs, the distance that we have to travel is far more taxing on the players and difficult than the Gauteng-based team. So to have the possibility, best case scenario, to have 2 teams in the top 4 or 5 from Cape Town, I think is understated. I think it's something that is not mentioned enough. And I think it's something that we have to celebrate. You know, if you take the points of our PSL team and you add our DDC team, I know it's 2 different leagues, but their points plus our points is 108. It's more than any other football club in South Africa, including Mamelodi Sundowns. So I think it'll be a day of celebration for us as a club to be playing our last game, and yes, rightly so. But I have to correct you when you say that the DDC players will be on the field to carry the trophy. Half of them are in my squad. So yeah, we have to create that vibe in Stellenbosch, and it is 2 different, it's 1 province, 2 different communities apart, and we want to bring joy and happiness to the community of Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch, we all understand the dynamics around Stellenbosch, and what's important for us is to be able to bring the communities together. And when you play a derby like on Saturday, it's a great opportunity for us to get people together to come celebrate football. We want to take football to a high level in Stellenbosch, as high as some of the past sort of history and how many rugby players have gone on to become Springboks from Stellenbosch. We want to do the same. We want to create players that can make their families proud and also the nation proud.
And this is a coach that's not scared to promote. Just a few years ago, of course, you guys were still in the NFD. A lot of us were excited about seeing your young faces, these are the local boys. And since then, like Coach rightly said, half of the team is teenagers, that have come from the Diski team. And you still on the young side, but knowing that the coach is not scared to promote, and these kids are all coming pressing you. And now they've even got a trophy to show for it. I know you got the NFT trophy, but they also got the DDC trophy to show off, putting pressure on you. Is it really there, or are you comfortable knowing you've got another 8 years, as a key player at Stellenbosch?
No, I think pressure is good, competition is good. So yeah, if you're comfortable in your position, it's not going to be good because you're not improving, you're not pushing yourself. So obviously you want to have that competition in the team. You want the younger players to come through and push you to make you a better player, because I feel like you learn every day, you can become a better player every day. So I think that's good what Coach Steve is doing also, to push not just the youngsters, but obviously the senior guys as well in the team, because you're looking at those younger boys, they're faster, they're quicker, they may be much stronger than you, so you need to push yourself as well to compete against those young boys, because obviously they have lots of energy, and so that's something good to have in our team, to have the balance with senior players and obviously the youth, the younger boys coming through. So I feel like that's something good in our team, because we have young, energetic, talented players that's coming up, like they won the DDC. So it's something good for the club, and it's something good for in the team as well, for the senior guys, and obviously for the younger players coming through.
Yeah, if you guys were not here, we'd continue the conversations between the 5 of us. But I asked you guys to brave the weather. There's rain outside. You're all here. You've left your homes, to interact with these people directly. There's a mic roaming around. There's books. So with a show of hands, you know, anyone who wants to ask anything, whether it's a basic inspiration or a question about Saturday. You know, I'm going to have Julian and Courtney a little bit later before we close, just to do the admin, you know. How much a ticket is on Saturday, where you can buy a ticket, what time the game is, you know, that information is all going to come. You got someone? You're all shy. I think this room is a little bit smaller, eh?
Yeah, thanks, Mchaga.
1996, ne?
Yeah, thanks, gents. I'm Tone from Cooks also. It's debut day. It's Saturday. I don't know whether the coaches, they do normally reveal their formations, their squads, their tactics before the game. I've been noticing that in most of our games that we are playing here in South Africa, it's rare that you find out we score 3 goals, 4 goals, 5 goals. Is there a way that we can maybe train our strikers, or what makes it difficult for the strikers to score less goals? Because it seems to me as if we are always defending. So I'm worried about Saturday. We might get 0-0, 1-1, because we're always defending. Thank you.
Okay, I'll give that. The reason I say that, I'll give that to the coach that didn't have a team that scored when they played against each other. I'll start with Coach Eric, because his team didn't score against Stellenbosch the last time they played. And this coach had a team that scored 3 that day. So let's first bring the reality, because it's closer here, and then we'll bring it to Coach Steve.
Yeah, I think there's many factors here, in my mind, in my opinion. But I'm like you, when I watch football in Europe, and I watch Man City play Southampton, or Man City play Burnley, the expectation is I'm going to see a 5-0 drubbing or a 6-0 drubbing. And that's what people want to watch. But what I've seen in South Africa, any coach here gets a 6-0 drubbing, he doesn't have a job the next day. Now what people don't understand is the pressure that puts on everyone. It puts a lot of pressure on the players, puts a lot of pressure on the coach. So to a degree, that is something that needs to be changed, because it's not only coming from administrators. As much as the people are saying, we want to see goals, the people are upset. When Pirates got hit 6-0, what happened? What happened? You know, it's not seen as, well, it can happen, because it can. Manchester United got hit 7 under Alex Ferguson. That's just the game. It can happen. It's like Stevie Barker saying, you've got to go into games playing without fear. That's important. How do you do that? By giving the people the freedom to do that. That becomes important. Putting trust. That's also important. And trusting the people is key. In terms of, do we defend a lot? I don't entirely agree with that, because I think that every single coach, if you listen to his interviews, you will hear about the decision-making problem that we have. And what people must understand, the decision-making problem in the final third, we can work on it a lot in training, which we all do. They do, we do. We work hours and hours, crossing and finishing. But to recreate a situation where a striker finds himself in a 1v1 against the goalkeeper, to coach that is difficult. To recreate that when he's in an official match, that is difficult. Now it's all about, does he have the composure in front of goal? Does he have the confidence in front of goal? 9 out of 10 times in training, he'll do it. But come match day, different. Pretty much similar to when we talk about taking penalties. You can practice penalties all day, all night. It doesn't matter. Come the final, which happened to us, my man, half of them want to hide and go in the tunnel. They don't want to take the penalty. It's understandable. It's a pressure moment. Now, it's about overcoming that. But I can't teach that. Maybe bringing in a psychologist, sports psychologists can help the players in that aspect. But that has been a huge problem in our country, has been our ability to finish. And we always think the solution is, oh, well, we need a striker. But if the balls are not coming into the striker, if the right type of balls are not coming in, he's going to miss the exact same. He's not going to score either. So it's all about the collective understanding in that final third, making the right choices, making the right decisions, but doing it clearly in your mind with composure and understanding. And that's still something we're having to come over, in my opinion.
Coach Steve, you share the sentiment, you have a different...
No, I share fully the sentiments of Coach Eric. I just want to, in Thami's case, when he was practicing the penalties before the MTN, their keepers were told to stand on the line because when you play the match, that's what you're expected to do. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to cater for Fori being 1.5 meters off his line. So unlucky on that one. No, I share the sentiments. If I were finishing and that it's not through lack of creating chances, I think if we were, and just a very short, it's a subject that can be done over many sessions like this, but I think it's just unfortunately a bit of a socio-economic problem. Our space, our youngsters grow up in, they're not able to play in big fields. Everything is in small spaces, so they don't develop that ability to shoot from distance, to cross the ball, to head the ball. Everything is close control. You know, they're scared to lose the ball because it runs into the street and there's cars. So our dribbling technique in this country is as good as it is anywhere in the world. But unfortunately, because of those problems, our kids are not being exposed to big spaces from a very young age. And it hampers them later in their football career, where we just don't have that ability as other countries do to create and finish those chances as clinically as they are.
Yo. Another one from the floor.
About 20 years ago, Pirates was about to be relegated, and they were playing against Chiefs. And Pirates, I think, needed a draw or a win. And if they had lost the game, then Pirates would be relegated. The rest is history. Now, where I'm coming at, given the permutations of the league as things stand, and with Cape Town City at the pole position, can we do a Chiefs Pirates?
I like Coach, Thami,
I stopped
you're
there.
going to be on the
I
pitch.
stopped there.
Thami, I'll let you take that. I'll let Thami, because he's going to be on the pitch. Are you asking for a favor? Are you asking for a favor from Steadies?
It's not possible. I have to work for it.
Mogamad,
No favors in this game. There's no
it doesn't even
favors.
cross your mind. The
Nah.
chance we're gonna go out later and just celebrate with them.
Nah, no favors in this game.
No favors. There's no love, Putabo. There's no love. There's no love here. There's no favors that are gonna come from either Stellenbosch or Cape Town City. I'm not gonna ask for favors neither. I don't think you're gonna get a call.
But there are some interesting games at the bottom of the log. It'll be interesting to see how they all end up.
Yo, shots fired to the rest of the teams. You don't know what fighting for relegation is anymore in Cape Town, guys. You've got teams fighting for a different type of position, not fighting down there at the bottom. More questions, Books?
Evening, gentlemen. Yeah. The only question, it's you, Jaga, you asked one question now. I think it was earlier on, you asked like, everything happened in Stellenbosch, nobody talks about it, right? If Cape Town City have a trophy, nobody's talk about it. I think this thing is all about geographical matter. Mr. Tinkler explained what he explained, but I think it's that, let me make example, a simple example. Mr. Parker, you know, if you are born in Manchester, right? No matter you're gonna live in Liverpool, you're still favoring Manchester, right? No matter you have a job in Manchester, right?
Yes.
But your blood is Liverpool. So we are here in Cape Town. The base, the most support based, it's Eastern Cape, it's in Khayelitsha, right? It's Kaizer Chiefs. How do you think that Cape Town City will achieve that? You understand what I mean? I think I don't have a solution about that. I'm just have an opinion about that. It's a simple thing. We were raised, we played for these teams. There were 7 stars, right? We played for Mother City. We were coached by Pachi Benz and Mark Benz and Hellenic. But the thing is, you see, he asked a question. I know him. He developed some nice kids in Goede. Where I see the football, where it's going, it's something that maybe in the end of the day they can talk about. You guys, you can talk about it, because I know he is grooming some young talent there in Goede. So my point is, why I'm saying that it's all about territory. You can't expect people in Nyanga East, in Cape, in Goede, or Langa, or Khayelitsha to be a fans of Cape Town City. They will see how many kids that they are playing for Cape Town City from their areas. That's when, you understand what I mean? People, they will like to think that about these things like it's like a racial issue or something like that. No, it's not about that. But the thing is, we know as background, we don't support our kids. Because it's easy in your development. Mr. Tinkler, you must understand, it's easy, you know, you are a first team coach, right? But the under 13 coach, it's easy to let a kid from Khayelitsha to go, because you know there's no transport. Because the mother is not going to support the kid, you understand, to take in the field. But there's another parent, maybe from Bishop Levis or Misha's Plain or Grassy Park, will be there and will be sharing for the kid. It's not that something wrong with that parent, but I'm trying to make a point about why the Cape Town teams, Stellenbosch, Cape Town City, because I'm living in Cape Town. It's still painful for me that I'm not gonna be proud about Cape Town and Stellenbosch, that it's my team. Why would I be a fan of a team from Johannesburg? You understand what I mean? So it starts from there.
Are you guys finding that, you know, that as you coach, you know, also as you play, Thami, as well, that, you know, especially, I mean, both of you guys are not from here. When you come to a certain, I mean, you played overseas as well, you know, certain players take you around, you know, you arrive, they take you to the traditional place of that club. Whether you see the mascot or you take a traditional tour of the stadium and all that stuff. Are you guys finding that those things are missing? They will change what's going on, the non-linking back to the community? Are you also finding that it's hard to find this talent? I mean, Stellenbosch is having it a little bit more, much easier than you guys, because they're promoting the kids and they're banging.
Yeah, I think we have a number of kids who are coming from that are playing currently for our Diski team, obviously playing for our SAB team that we have. We also have an under 16 team. And I hear you, because understand, I was in charge of its youth development program that I ran for 4 or 5 years. The biggest problem I see that we have in our country right now is lack of direction. That's problem number one. A lot of youngsters that might be in Khayelitsha don't know, what is my path? What path do I have to take in order to become a professional footballer? How do I get to that stage, that pyramid, that has kind of disappeared in our country. A lot of our provinces, for example, Durban, he's from Durban. Strong history in terms of football. Some of the leagues that used to exist 3-4 years ago, prior to COVID, don't exist anymore. Those youth leagues have gone. There's a lack of investment. There's a lack of interest in youth. Other big problem I have, because you actually used the word, teams. That's what we have in South Africa. We have teams. We don't have clubs. We don't have clubs in South Africa. You know, we're having teams that are coming in, buying a franchise, and they're having to put together a Diski team in the space of 3 weeks after buying a franchise. That's not a club. How am I going to buy into a club? And I think that's important. But it also goes to the townships. Even in the townships, there are teams. There are no clubs in the township. It's everybody wants his own team. But what if the community decides, no, let's come together and create our own team, our own identity. So I understand and I understand also with youth, it's like us. The biggest challenge that we have as a club, believe it or not, is actually the transport. Getting in and out of the township. How many times, where's Julian, has our vans been damaged, vandalized, our drivers been assaulted? Then our drivers no longer want to go into the township. Now those kids don't come to training because the Uber drivers don't want to go into the township. So it's not only a Cape Town city problem, it's a us problem. Everyone. And we've got to change that culture, that mentality, that we have teams in South Africa. We don't have a club. There is no club, in my opinion.
I like that, Coach. I really like that. Taking ownership of the teams and taking ownership of the things that happen to the kids. Because as Coach rightly says, the transport comes into our hood and gets vandalized. And that driver is not protected by that same community. He has to run out of the community to get protection. So I think it's a mirror effect that you just created.
I live in Hart Bay, so that you understand. I live in Hart Bay. Now the local football association there, I think they could literally run their own league. That is how many teams. And you know in Hart Bay, it's that one artificial pitch that exists next to IY, and then you've got the other one up in Hamburg, both in dire condition. But you've got 28 different teams utilizing one field. Why not us as a community come together and say, no, let's create a football club so that we can develop this instead of having just one. Maybe if we come together and we put all the money together, we can actually create maybe another 2 or 3 fields and then become a football club. Then we're giving direction now, because now we are one. And from here, we can create a relationship with a PSL club, like Cape Town City. Now our kids have direction. They understand. You play here under 6, under 7, and 8. You get to under 16s. You may have the opportunity to go into the Cape Town City Academy. So that's going to be the objective. That's the target. Let's get back provincial football, which is, I don't see it anymore. Doesn't exist anymore. Get back provincial tournaments where Western Cape select team is playing against KwaZulu-Natal. Those are gone, don't exist. Now we're bringing the crop of the best versus the best. That's going to help us. But we don't have any of that. It's all gone.
And from your side, Thami, from a player's point of view, that's from a holistic view from the coach. Been there, done it, is coaching now. But from a player point of view, you arrive in Cape Town City and you look around, you're like, so where is that local feeling? Have you found that in Cape Town City at all? Or you guys just play because you're representing just Cape Town City?
For me, only, to be honest, since from day one, ever since I've joined Cape Town City, I felt like I was at home. I don't know, maybe it's because the leader of the club is a coach now for Kobola. He was the one who always makes sure that whoever joins Cape Town City, he must feel like he's part of the club and he must follow the rules of the club and he must do everything that the club does.
It's a little bit, has been a little bit easier for you, coach, because, you know, a lot of the talent that you promoted came in and just fitted right in. Some of them are even stars now. You know?
Yeah, I think, fortunately, to come back to your sort of analogy of Liverpool, Manchester, there, and I echo Coach Eric's sentiments. Unfortunately, in South Africa, you know, you get a team called Supersport. You know, you get Jomo Cosmos. It's you know, it's sort of privately owned. It's individual owned. It's not per region. So we're fortunate in that we are Stellenbosch. It's a town. We can get the supporters at a young age to support Stellenbosch. You know, Maritzburg, that's why they get a good crowd, because it's a town, it's a club that's in a town. Unfortunately, we're a little bit sometimes not as such, and again, you know, Bloemfontein Celtic, for example, I'm sure there were many aspiring supporters, kids who idolized players from Bloem Celtic, and then just in a heartbeat, you know, it's gone. It's now Royal AM. It's not Chatsworth United, it's a Royal AM. So, you know, we're not having clubs and regions that fans can associate with. So it's a bigger problem, and it's something that hopefully can get addressed at some stage, but we're fortunate in that hopefully we can, any kid that's born now as a young player grows up in Stellenbosch with the Stellenbosch football team, and he can support Stellenbosch. So yeah, hopefully we can benefit from that.
Mogamad, would you like, you know, that to happen, or are you feeling like there's enough local talent around you to make that club a Stellenbosch club?
Yeah, I think there's enough talent in Stellenbosch. Like, we have the likes of Ashley Dupree, Dino van der Weyen, Jaden Adams. They're all from Stellenbosch, local born Stellenbosch, Iders Valley players. And there's more that we can mention. So I feel like Stellenbosch as a town, as a young kid at the moment, you, like Coach Eric Tinkler said, your path, you know where your path is. And so I feel like as a youngster, you know where your path is, and you can, in 10 years, 17 years, you can be playing in a PSL team. So I feel like there's enough talent in Stellenbosch to make it a successful club, not for now, but for the future.
Yeah, I'll take two more.
Thanks, Bjaga. My name is Dali. My question goes to Coach Tinkler. We last won, in fact, we only won the AFCON in 1994, and that was during, 96, sorry, that was during your time. So from there, nothing happened. Just want to know from you, what went wrong? Did the Matiba magic die, or what?
I think so. No. Yeah, so I was obviously part of the national team. My debut was 93 when we went to Australia, and we played Australia 2 games there, and we lost both of them. One in Sydney and one in Adelaide. And then obviously we had the success in 96. And then we've got to go back to realize during that period, as I said, to be a professional footballer in South Africa was impossible, didn't exist. We trained in the evenings. I was still at school back in those days. I was studying at Damnum. Majority of my teammates worked during the day. Some of them were lawyers, some of them were students at Wits, some of them were reps, some of them were working in factories. And we trained in the evening, 6 o'clock, for an hour. So if you wanted to pursue the profession of football, you needed to get overseas. So I knew for me that the pinnacle of South African football then was obviously to reach bids, play for the NSL team, and if I had an opportunity there, possibly I could find my way into Europe. I think there's a lot of money now that a lot of players earn in our league. And I don't think the aspiration to want to go overseas is as big as it was for us during my generation. To earn a living, I needed to go overseas, I needed to play overseas. And we need to be honest with ourselves when we watch Senegal and we watch Nigeria and we watch Ghana and we watch Ivory Coast. I won't use Egypt because a lot of them play in Egypt, and I think they have the same problem as us because players earn a lot of money playing in Egypt and they're in a comfort zone. It's comfortable for them. Whereas you look at those countries, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria, a lot of those players are playing in very, very good leagues in Europe. We had, during '96, we had players playing in big leagues. We had, all the way through '98, Benny's generation, Quinton Fortune. We had so many players that were already playing in very, very big leagues. And when I say playing, I mean playing. You know, what we tend to see nowadays, there's a lot of guys jumping. There's one now, Zungu. I think he's jumped 3 clubs in the last 2 years. But he's not getting regular game time. And that's what we need. If we want to see our Bafana Bafana team succeeding, we need to have more players getting into European top leagues, be it in the French, be it in the German, be it in the English, be it in the Portuguese league, Italian league. We had so many guys that were out there that you could select. I remember used to reading the Laduma. Used to get the Laduma, and there was a page on the Laduma with all the players, South African players that were playing in Europe, and it was a big list. So many to choose from. Now that has dwindled. It's got smaller and smaller. So we need to see more of our guys having that aspiration, that desire to want to go abroad. And I think only then, to be brutally honest, only then. And then obviously also, we're starting to see it now. People taking the CAF competitions more seriously. When I came back in 2005, not so much. For many clubs, it was a burden. And it is a burden. People don't understand. I heard a story now about Amazulu going to Sudan. That cost him 2.5 million rand.
One trip.
2.5 million rand. But they're only getting 350 from CAF. So that's another challenge we have on our continent, is being able, and it's a 36-hour journey to get there. And it's a charter flight that they have to rent. Now you stop at this airport, you pay a fee, you stop at that airport, you pay another fee, refuel. 2.5 million rand is what they spend. So, but fact is, if we can have more teams competing in the CAF competitions, that's also going to strengthen us. I think that's also important.
So in other words, we need a lot more tycoons, people with deep money.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those countries are supported by their governments, you know, because we sit here and we complain, but you go to the Gambias and the Gabons and Mali, and they are funded by their governments to play in those competitions.